Listen, if you're a writer or a visual artist like a painter, photographer, or sculptor, or you're a sound artist, otherwise known as a musician, or you're a filmmaker, which combines a lot of art form, or you just love and enjoy and have a passion for the arts,
Wow.
in the context of biblical faith. Now, I believe that Christian artists can and should be the most free, innovative, forward-thinking, groundbreaking artists living. And I want to talk about that in this video and as a regular feature of this channel going forward. Now, that's important because artists I've known have struggled with this issue. They ask questions like, well, how does my faith inform my art? Or how can my art intersect with my faith? Let's talk about that. Now, I have to begin with a confession. When I first came to Jesus, my expression as an artist before that was I played in rock bands, often progressive rock bands, for a lot of my growing up. And for a time, I laid all of that aside for Jesus. I needed to because that entire scene was pretty much my small g God, and it wasn't exactly having the healthiest influence on my life. But I ran into a problem. I still loved music, and I wanted to play it, I wanted to listen to it, so I tried listening to the Christian replacement versions of what I was used to.
Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is my friend.
And frankly, I thought most of it was pretty bad. And it bugged me. Why was it bad? See, at my age, I came up during the heart of the classic music era, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, with bands like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Queen, Pink Floyd, who were true musical artists in that realm. They produced a mind-blowing, groundbreaking recorded music art like Sgt. Pepper's Dark Side of the Moon, A Night at the Opera, Physical Graffiti. My musician friends and I used to listen to this stuff in detail. We'd pay close attention to every dimension of the project, from the cover art to how the bass player and the drummer interacted. I'd train my ear to listen to creative and interesting and inventive stuff. But when I came over to the Christian side of life, art and creativity was conspicuous by its absence. Now, it wasn't completely, but almost completely gone. And while music was not great, I noticed film was either non-existent or really, really bad. So, as a Christian and as an aspiring pastor and Christian leader, I wanted to figure out why that was. But also, I dreamed of being a part of fixing it by inspiring young artists to be deep people of faith while being great artists at the same time. And here's where I believe that starts. Christian artists need to build a confident and accurate Christian belief system around art. Now, that's important because what you genuinely believe will always show up in how you live. That's just how it works. Now, building that confidence takes some time and several ingredients, but let me give you one foundational one. Okay, let's start by using your imagination a little bit. Create a scenario here. Let's say you've not only never read the Bible, but you've never even heard of it. But someone's able to convince you before you read it that the God of the universe is the one who breathed it out, and you approach the book genuinely believing that you are going to learn who God is. So, you read the very first chapter. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then it goes on to describe what he did. He separates light from darkness. There's dry land, there's water, there's animals, there's birds. And then it closes up with the creation of mankind. And it says this very interesting line, which is part poetry, by the way. Listen to this. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and over all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. Okay, so after you've read that entire chapter, what do you know about God and about people if you do not read the rest of the entire book? What do you know at the very beginning? One, you would know that God is a creator. He's the creator, and that people are made in his image. In other words, there's something common between God and people. Now, those two ideas form the basis of everything else we need to know about God, ourselves, and when it comes to the subject of creativity and art. Everything creative and artistic flows out of those two ideas. Now, keep in mind, this is the very first chapter, the part that sets up the entire rest of the book. Now, that's pretty profound. In other words, God is the creator of all things. But that's not just a brute fact, like you're merely arguing creation versus evolution or something. It's a statement about who he is. He's not just the creator, as if that's merely a title of someone who is all-powerful. It affirms that he is a creator. To put it in human terms, he's a maker, he's an engineer, an architect, a fashioner, a craftsman, an artist. In other words, at the core of all reality, there's a being who makes. someone who takes darkness and chaos and turns it into order, beauty, and meaning. Now, according to the Bible, creativity is at the root system of all reality. Now, hold that thought. It also taught us something about people. Now, remember the line when he forms people. The main idea that's repeated is men and women are made, quote, in his image. Now, it locks that down with poetic flourish. What does that even mean? The Hebrew word translated image is the same word also translated idol in the rest of the Bible. And if you know the Bible at all, you know that the term idol is almost always a negative. But here it's not. It literally means essentially a statue. Now think about it. What's a statue?
It's the Statue of Liberty.
Now we know a statue of, say, Abraham Lincoln is not Abraham Lincoln. It's not made of what Abraham Lincoln was made of, right? But what does it do? It calls Abraham Lincoln to mind. It's an image of him. Now, what can we learn about people from that passage and that idea? That people are designed to bring God to mind. That's our first role as human beings. Being created in his image means we are not God. We're not made of the same stuff, but we are designed to bring him to mind. And if we bring him to mind, at this point in the story, what's the essential only thing that we know about God? It's that he is a creator. An essential mark of human beings is that they are creators. The story goes on, and the newly formed people are placed in a garden and told to tend the garden. In other words, take the raw materials that God has produced and cultivate it, shape it, create with it. That's what the word subdue that was in that passage means, to bring something under control. In a positive sense, it's to take that which is kind of wild and chaotic and give it meaning and order. That's what a garden is. It's a shaping of an otherwise wild plot of vegetation, right? Well, that's what God does in his creation. And then he hands this pre-made materials over to the man and the woman and says, do the same thing. Bring order out of chaos, fashion, make, produce, shape, cultivate. G.K. Chesterton, the writer, said, art is the signature of man. And think about it. How are human beings distinguished from other animals? Well, we're artists. I don't see a lot of animals holding concerts or setting up art galleries, right? When you are doing your art, you are expressing something that is core to who God is and something fundamental to who people are designed to be. It's not another category on the side, peripheral to life. It's central and can call God to mind. That's why great art, even when it's done by people who may not necessarily be Christian, can still call God to mind. If you've ever seen a movie that gave you the chills or heard a piece of music that's made you think of higher things, that's what's going on. Think about that. Imagine what it would be like if you let your creative Christian mind run free and you pursued excellence in art. How much more would it call God to mind? Well, I hope that helps. If you're interested in more discussion about art and creativity on this channel, please hit like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.